refuge and generating Bodhicitta stanza. English, page 4. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. By my accumulations of practice of giving and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. Sangye Jura Soge Jonamla Chanchu Badu Dane Gyatsuchi Yare Jinso Gebe Sonamge Dola Benjire Sangye Druba Isho Sangye Jura Soge Jonamla Chanchu Badu Dane Gyatsuchi Yare Jinso Gebe Sonamge Dola Benjire Sangye Druba Isho Sangye Jura Soge Chonamla Chanchu Badu Dani Kyasushi Chinso Gebe Sonamge Dola Benche Sangye Druva Sho. Okay. First, I'd like to begin with Acharya Dinaka's the 2 lines, which he composed as a word of salutation to the Buddha Shakyamuni in his text Pramana Samuchaya, where he said that to the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings, a teacher, Sugata, protector, to your administrations. So this is where I like to start from. Acharya Dignaga, he wrote these 2 lines. Somebody is not working?
Yes, not working. I want to change.
Working now? Very good. Thank you, Anasafi. So this text, Pramana Samuchaya, compendium of the valid cognition, was written in 6th century AD. And the story has it that he was a solitary retreatant and the father of the Buddhist logic, solitary retreatant, hermit, and then he, lack of facilities, he wrote this on a slate. These the 2 lines, and actually it's 4 lines, including his promise of composition of the particular valid cognition, making salutation to Buddha Shakyamuni. He wrote these lines, and then he left for his daily alms round. Coming back, he realized that the slate what he wrote was erased. Then again he wrote it the next day. Again he left for his alms round. Coming back, erased 3 times, erased. At the 4th time, he did not write what he was to write. What he wrote was that whosoever erased what I wrote here, if you erased it out of joke, out of zest, What I'm writing is a very important matter. This is not a matter of joke. Please don't erase this. It's a great benefit. It's a great meaning. Whereas if you erase this because you disagree with what I wrote, then show up in person. Then coming back, he saw somebody waiting there in person. So in those days, like 1,400 years ago, in India, the tradition was to debate, directly have debate, and they have a set of rules or customs where anybody who lost the debate should be converted to the other tradition. This was the tradition in those days. And two of them started to have debate. And then, of course, Acharya Dignaga, who was the father of the Buddhist logic, who can compete him in terms of logic and debate. So his opponent was defeated, and the opponent, he became so angry, and instead of sticking to the customs or rules and regulations, that he be converted to the Acharya Dignaga's tradition. So what he did was that with his miracle power, he sent fire from his mouth towards Acharya Dignaga. And Acharya Dignaga, being a Bodhisattva, a great, the aspired Bodhisattva, and the person sent fire from his mouth towards Acharya Dignaga's robes, and Acharya Dignaga's robes were burned. And Acharya Dignaga really felt so demoralized that I always pray that I become Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings, for all sentient beings. Now no, even one person who is next to me, I cannot benefit this person. How can it possibly benefit all sentient beings? He felt so demoralized, and then what he did was that he lifted this, he picked up the slate and he threw this in the sky. At a moment the slate were to fall, he would give up his bodhicitta aspiration. And then, to his amazement, the slate never fell. He looked up in the sky and he saw a Manjushri holding this slate there. So the Acharya Dignaga, oftentimes he is depicted with Arya Manjushri on his right or left side as the patron deity to guide him. Then Arya Manjushri, he spoke to Acharya Dignaga directly that, my child, why do you feel demoralized? What are you doing? It's going to be incredibly beneficial work. You continue to do this, and I'm there to inspire you. I'm there to bless you. So your job, just continue with this work, and this will be like the wisdom eyes to millions and billions of beings in the future. So this was a prophecy made by Arya Manjushri. Then the Acharya Dignaga continued to write the text, and he completed. Then 100 years later, another incredibly great Buddhist logician appeared, Acharya Dharmakirti, and whose text nowadays is being studied so widely in the monastic universities. Pramana Vartika, the commentary on the Vedic mission. But the one by Acharya Dignaga is compendium of Vedic mission, and Acharya Dharmakirti's text is known as commentary on Pramana, the commentary on Vedic mission, Pramana Vartika. So, looking at these two lines, which Acharya Dignaga wrote 100 years before him, he just read the two lines and he was just fascinated to see what a gravity these two lines have. And he saw that these two lines really bear so much of content matters, all jam-packed into these two lines. So he unfolded, decoded these two lines, and then he came up with his commentary on these two lines, just these two lines, commentary on these two lines, which came to be 283 stanzas. And if we are to read the 283 stanzas, we will not understand anything. These 283 stanzas need further 2 big volumes to understand these 283 stanzas.
In other words, these two lines which we say in the morning are the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata, and the protector to you among frustrations. These two lines seem to be so simple, but then to really understand it, to unfold the meaning fully, we need to understand the 283 verses of Acharya Dharmakirti, which in turn, we require the big commentaries to understand these 283 stanzas. Okay, so this is a basic background, and this should be the approach that we should follow. If we follow, would be very helpful. In fact, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, whenever he gives teachings, in most cases, he would always recite these two lines. To inspire others as to how to proceed through the journey of the greater meaning of one's life. If I were to share with you as to what these two lines are, we see that there are 5 points there. 5 points. The point 1 is what this Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha, before he became Buddha, he was a prince, and his name was Siddhartha, Prince Siddhartha. Prince Siddhartha, at the age of 29. Oftentimes, when we read his biography, we get a very simple understanding or a very simple picture of this Prince Siddhartha, what made him to leave the palace and eventually go to 6 years of penance or the austerity and eventually become enlightened. So the story seems very simple. The reality is very different. The reality of his story is very different. He was born as a prince, and according to the common story biography, he met with 4 incidents: sick person, old person, and then the death, and then finally a monastic or a mendicant. And with these 4 sights, he changed his mind, and finally he realized that as long as I remain as just an ordinary person, I will never be free from the first 3 sights: sickness, aging, and death. So to get over these 2 problems, I have to follow the path of the mendicant or of the monastics. This is the common story, but the real story is more complex than that. As a young prince, although he was within the walls of the kingdom and the palace walls, and within that he could see so much of problems, sickness, aging, death, and more so the biases, abuse from the royal families to the common people. He could see all these happening, and he was so unhappy with all these things. And then, in addition to that, wars. In those days, wars happening between the kingdoms so often. Witnessing all these things, he realized that if I lead the life the way I'm living now, it's not at all the solution to all these problems. For that matter, I must look for a path which is the correct way by which to help the beings to come out of these problems altogether. So with this in mind, then he left the palace. And he left the palace, then the journey starts. Okay, now for us, these two lines, the first, this Prince Siddhartha, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. Reliable guide meaning he wanted to guide all the beings to the ultimate happiness, to the state of fearlessness, to the state of infinite happiness. He wanted to guide all beings to that state. So that was his aspiration. The one who has transformed into the reliable guide. Initially he was just an ordinary prince. Then through his efforts he transformed himself into a reliable guide. That is the main thesis. Then the next 4 points are how did he succeed? How did he succeed in becoming a reliable guide? So it says, motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings. Point number 1, the teacher. Number 2, the Sugata. Number 3, the protector. Number 4. Okay, so it is in this book. Okay, one in English page 5. Okay, in English page 5, in French page 4. Okay. In the middle it reads, the one who has transformed into the reliable guide, motivated by altruism to benefit sentient beings, the teacher, Sugata, the protector, to you I make frustrations. And this book, how we designed this book, again, just for information, if you think that you're going to be more close to the Buddhist institutions like Kalachakra Center, likewise Nalanda, the center, and so forth. If you see yourself as being in contact with these centers more, then we have given the transliteration of the Tibetan original into the transliterations are given there. For example, these 2 lines, the Tibetan version is Semal Gyurba Dola Pensheba Dumba Deshe Gyurba Chasero. This is the Tibetan version. If you can read that, if you learn how to read this in Tibetan, that will be very helpful. Whereas, if you don't see that, you will be with the institutions like Kalachakra, Nalan, and so forth, very often. And then spending so much time on the Tibetan doesn't make much sense. Whereas, somehow if you feel connected, oh, this is so great, I must learn this in Tibetan. And on the one hand, it's simple, it's just like 2 lines. So you can memorize them in Tibetan also. So, before you memorize them, it would be good if somebody who knows Tibetan well, for example, we have Christoph here, and then Tashi Dujila there. So you can ask them to read this in Tibetan, and then they try to record it, and then you try to recite it accordingly. And if possible, try to have the correct pronunciation. Okay. So with this, we see that the main thesis is the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. So this is what the Prince Siddhartha, he later became as the reliable guide, as a Buddha, the reliable guide to benefit all sentient beings. And then how he became the reliable guide, how he became the Buddha, how he became the enlightened one. It's not about he being very special. Just try to study these 4 2 lines with the one basic thesis and the 4 premises. The 4 premises they are the motivated by altruism to benefit all sentient beings, number 1. Then the teacher, number 2. Number 3, Sugata. Then number 4, protector. These are the 4 points. And it's not that this Prince Siddhartha, he was praised with these 4 points randomly. No, it is a very special reason why each of these 4 points, why these 4 points in the particular sequence. There's a reason. Okay, so this I like to share with you. Say, except for 1 or 2 of us here, Tashi Dojila and myself. Otherwise, what about Shark? Okay, Shark, we have to check it. Otherwise, we see that most of you are from, born in a very different family, and then you come towards Buddhism, towards the teachings of the Buddha. So there, for such people, it's so important, not only for these people, even for us who are already born in Buddhist family. It is so important to know the meaning of these 2 lines and then set a journey accordingly. It's a very beautiful presentation, and this will make us feel that, okay, now I have found the meaning of my life. Finally, whatever family you're born in, whatever inclinations that you have, or whatever gender, it doesn't matter. We are here to accomplish our goal, to seek a meaning out of life. So the question is, what is that meaning? This question. So this meaning, study these two lines, you will get a very good picture of what the meaning of life is. It's a beautiful thing. So it says that, okay, what happened was that we can understand these two lines in two ways. One is known as the forward order of the three premises, and the reverse order of the forward order of the four premises, and the reverse order of the four premises. The four premises are altruism, teacher, Sugata, and protector. These are the four. The forward premises meaning the four attributes. The four attributes or the four premises as indicated by Acharya Dignaga in his word of salutation to the Buddha. The forward. And the reverse meaning, so instead of starting from the altruism, we start from the protector, Sugata, teacher, and the altruism. Okay, so we will try to learn what the main thesis is, what the four premises are. The main thesis is the one who has transformed into the reliable guide. In other words, reliable guide. Reliable guide. This is the main thesis. Then the four premises. In the forward order, the four premises are altruism. Number 2 is teacher. Number 3 is Sugata. Number 4, protector. Okay, let's have these four now on the fingertips. Okay, once in a while, those who were with me last year, you know that the class is going to be more interactive in nature. So all of us, whatever question that you might have, feel free to raise, ask me, and once in a while I also ask questions to you, and feel free to give you answers. Okay, so these four things with a premise, total 5, must be on the fingertips. Okay, can you tell me what they are? What's the thesis? What's the thesis? Reliable guide. Very good. And the four premises: altruism, teacher, Sugata, protector. Very good. So these must be on the fingertips. So that this is the forward order. We should not alter the order. Either you do it in the forward way or in the reverse way. Forward way meaning the sequence, the way Acharya Dignaga put. This is known as the forward way of the reasonings or the premises, for premises. And the reverse way, reverse with respect to how Acharya Dignaga put in the word of salutation. Okay. So there, why the forward and reverse? And the order, you must keep the order as they are, as it is. If you're already familiar with Buddhahood, and you may be wondering, how can somebody become a Buddha? Where should we start? How do we start? Then we start from altruism, teacher, Sugata, protector. This is how we start. To know the causal mechanism of achieving Buddhahood. Causal mechanism of activating the seed of perfection within you to become Buddha. For that, we need to know the forward sequence. First, altruism, then teacher, Sugata, and the protector. Okay, before we go into the forward and the reverse into detail, I'd like to discuss with you, I'd like to share with you as to what each of these mean. What each of these four premises mean. 1. Prince Siddhartha, if somebody asks you why he left the palace, instead of going along going along the historical accounts or going along the very basic biography of the Buddha. Now that you are studying this very technical part, you should be able to say that he, not simply because he saw the four sights. Four sights, of course, these are the factors. More importantly, what's going in his mind was that these four sights, these problems, sickness, aging, death, all these problems are what you see very common in all the beings. How can I help them? Altruism. Altruism, how can I help all these beings to remove these problems permanently? How can I help them? So that is the basic motivation. And he sensed that if he continues to stay in the palace, he cannot help all the beings to get rid of the problems completely. So he must look for a way. So driven by this motivation, the motivation to benefit all beings, he set off this journey. Journey for what? So what is the journey? He went in search of teachers to teach him how to liberate the beings. The first teacher he met was Acharya. Acharya meaning the teacher or the great scholar. Acharya Alarakalam. Alarakalam was the first teacher. Then he was trained on him, and within a short span of time, he reached the same level of realization as his teacher. And then he asked for more teachings. And the teacher said that you've already reached the same level as I reached. I have nothing more to teach you. Then he went in search of the next teacher. The next teacher he met was Acharya Udreka. Acharya Udreka, the teacher Udreka. And the teacher Udreka, his realization was higher than the Acharya Alarakalam. And then again, under his guidance, the Prince Siddhartha was being trained. And within a short span of time, again he reached the same level as his teacher. He asked for more teachings. He said that, in fact, okay, this is just for information. I'm not too sure whether later on these things will come. Say, when we speak about the samsara, where the beings take birth, samsara, we can see that it is of three levels. Form realm, the desire realm, form realm, and formless realm. Three realms. It's split into three divisions. The form realm is the realm where the beings are born who are predominantly driven by the sensual desires. Not the form realm, desire realm. The first one, desire realm, is where the beings who take birth there are predominantly obsessed by desire for sensual objects, or who are driven by sensual desires, meaning who are driven by the desire for five sensory objects: physical form, smell, taste, touch, and the sound. These five. So these beings are born in the desire realm. Then those who are driven inside, inward rather than outside, inward, into meditation. This meditation, we see that they are, broadly speaking, in a loose sense, can be split into, divided into two. One which is very refined, and the other one which is less refined. Less refined meditation, which means we're marked by the meditation which is marked with the link, marked and connected with the physical body. So these beings will take birth in the form realm, a realm of god and goddesses which is marked by the physical form, but driven there by the force of the meditative concentration. Then those who are even more who transcend the physical form, they take birth in the formless realm. That is the most refined version of this samsaric state, formless realm. And within formless realm, there are four divisions. Within formless realm, there are four divisions. And those of us who are new to this concept, I don't think there's anybody who's new. You must have heard about these things before. And those from last year, no excuse. Those from last year, no excuse. Okay, those who are not from last year, you can have excuse. Okay, but next year you have no excuse. The 4 realms, and you may, why I'm saying this is that you may feel little, okay, there are so many divisions, classifications, it's the wrong place for me to come. I expect something like meditation directly. Okay, so the point is that we have to know all these things. If you know these things, your knowledge will be increased, and because of which, later on, what you practice will become very stable and grounded. Okay. So the formless realm is further divided into 4. One is the infinite space. Number 2 is infinite consciousness. Number 3 is vacuity. And number 4 is peak of existence or peak of samsara. Infinite space, just for information. Infinite space meaning that in desire realm we see all physical, tangible things, physical things. Then in the form realm, physical, tangible things are there, but they are much more refined than what you find in the desire realm. Then for people, for example, for people who are always being very refined way of the lifestyle, very refined lifestyle, suddenly you end up in a very crude the place where everybody lives so in a crude way. You feel so congested because how you live is very subtle, refined, and now you end up in a place where everything is so crude, gross, rough. Likewise, as compared to the physical form, as your meditative practice becomes deeper, you see that in physical forms they are so crude. Then you go in from the crudeness of the physicality to the infinite space. Space, vacuum, space, this is more subtle than the physical form. So these people reach that level of meditation, the infinite space. Then and things are all relative. Infinite space is very crude as compared to the consciousness. Space, with our eyes we can see this, but the consciousness we cannot see that. Our consciousness is much more refined than this space. So the next more refined practitioners, they practice something with the meditation which is more deeper than the meditation confined to the infinite space. That is the infinite consciousness, number 2. Then number 3, infinite consciousness means that the object-wise, from the space you move to the consciousness. Still the object is there, although the consciousness is very subtle, still you see that the object is there, the consciousness. Now what you do is that your mind is the subject, space is the subject, for example, object, that's, let's say, the flowers, these are your objects, and your mind is the subject. You look at them and a pleasant feeling comes to you. So it's because of the interaction between the subject, your mind, the subject, and the flower is the object. Because of the interplay of these two, then the emotions arise in you. Now, what happens is that, so this object, we see that, okay, example, just to give them one example, let's say some people, they take the intake of the salt is too much. Some people they take a lot of salt in the food. Some people they take very less salt. Okay, so now some people they just take a pinch of salt, and still they can taste the salt. Those who take lots of salt in the food, then if you just put less salt, they will say there's no salt. Because they cannot sense the subtlety of the presence of the subtle salt there. They cannot sense it. Likewise, with the meditation, what happens is that when you are so absorbed or entangled with the gross physical form, you cannot see the nuances of the subtleties of the space, consciousness, and so forth. Like the intake of the soul, you reduce the intake of the soul, and then then you start appreciating the subtle taste of the salt and the original taste of the food, original taste of the vegetables and so forth. And still you reduce this salt intake more and more, then you see the original taste of the food becomes even more vivid. So this is what happens to meditation. With a meditation, say as you make the object subtler and subtler, subtler, you appreciate the nuances, the subtlety, greater subtlety of the object from the space to the consciousness. And then the consciousness is still an object. Then the practitioners, what they do is that they cut down meaning they remove the object. Object, they make it zero, vacuity. So that is the third level of the formless realm, where the object is zero, just the subject is left. This is the experience of the vacuity. Then the next is what? Now the object is zero. Now what they try to do is, they try to reduce the subject to zero. But the subject is your mind. Your mind cannot be reduced to zero. Your mind will never annihilate. Your mind never stops. Your mind continues eternally. So at the best, what they can do is make the mind subtler. Make the mind subtler, make the mind very subtle. As the mind is made very subtle, then you reach the peak of existence. That is the meditative state, which is the most refined in the context of the samsaric meditation. Okay, so the first teacher reached the third level of the formless realm, and the second teacher reached the fourth level of the formless realm. And beyond this, until you experience emptiness, there's no way beyond this. This is a funnel. That's a dead end. So the second teacher reached the dead end already, and yet he did not have the experience of emptiness. So the Buddha, the Prince Siddhartha, then he asked the teacher, please give me more teachings. And the teacher said that you already got it, you already achieved the final state. And the Prince Siddhartha said, no, not yet. I'm looking for a solution to solve all the problems of the sentient beings, and still I'm yet to get this solution. So he left, and then he went into 6 years of practice, and then within the 6 years of the austerity and the practice, he was able to find what is known as the wisdom of emptiness. Okay, so the main thesis, to be transformed into the reliable guide. How? Initially with the trigger motivation of altruism, number one. Then what is next? Teacher. With altruism meaning, I will help all the sentient beings. The question is, how are you going to help? This is the question. How are you going to help? Okay, so he went in search of how to help the beings. With the help of first teacher, with the help of second teacher, and then with his own 6 years of practice, then he realized that all the problems are rooted to ignorance. This is what he realized. All the problems are rooted to ignorance. So, if the poisonous root, if the poisonous tree, the wind blowing through these leaves create skin rashes on the body. So we see that these leaves are responsible. And some people, they remove the leaves. And after 2 weeks, again new leaves will grow. And others may chop the top, and after a few months, again new branches will grow. And wise people will do what? Uproot it. Uproot it. Now, the leaves are the manifest person, but the root is under the ground. You have to uproot it. Likewise, the Prince Siddhartha, he realized that all the problems, they are like the poisonous leaves and poisonous fruits, poisonous flowers. They are all going from the root, and the root is ignorance. This is what he realized. Now, how to uproot the ignorance? This question. Or how to get rid of the ignorance? This question. Anybody? How to get rid of the ignorance?
Introduce the light of wisdom.
By introducing the light of the wisdom. Ignorance is like darkness. In dark, you don't see what is around you. With ignorance, you don't see the reality. So, how to remove the darkness is only through introducing the light. And the metaphor that I may give you, you may say that, oh, this is so obvious. Who's going to do this? Only the hysterical, only the crazy people will do it. Otherwise, sensible people will not. The people with sanity will not do that. Okay, say if you want to read a book and if there's a power cut, what do you do?
Light a candle.
Okay, you may, okay, let's all come together. Venerable to the Kunchana will, okay, let's all pray to Buddha to remove the darkness. Buddha, please remove the darkness. Buddha, please remove the darkness. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. If the Buddha is sitting next to you, he'll be very sad. What a hopeless followers. Whereas if you light a candle, Buddha will be very happy. This is what you can do. Use your common sense. I'm not there to create the magic to you. I'm there to guide you. And those things which you can guide yourself, why don't you do it? So Buddha would be so happy if you light a candle. Likewise, to dispel the darkness, it is only through the practical approach of lighting a candle. Lighting, introducing a light. Likewise, to remove the darkness of ignorance, it is only through introducing the light of the wisdom. This is the only way. So, how to introduce the light of the wisdom? Okay, a guru comes there, the Buddha comes there, and then says that the Om Mani Padme Hum, and everybody will have to light wisdom. If that happens, then nobody should be suffering now. Because the Buddha can manifest himself to everybody. And can say Om Mani Padme Hum to everybody. And then the light of the wisdom should be coming to everybody. It never happens like this. This is never the law of cause and effect. This is never the law of cause and effect. The law of the cause, natural law of cause and effect, has it that it is only through you putting effort to ignite this light of the wisdom. For that matter, you need the help of somebody else to guide you, not to put the wisdom in you, but to guide you how to put the wisdom in you. So this is the only way. So for that matter, this Prince Siddhartha, he realized that ignorance is the root cause of the problems of all the beings. And to uproot this ignorance, I have to teach them how to instill the wisdom of emptiness. I have to teach them. For that matter, he has to become the teacher. So the second point says, teacher. Driven by altruism to benefit all sentient beings, the teacher. Teacher means to teach the light of the wisdom. Wisdom to dispel the darkness of ignorance, so that all miseries will be dispelled automatically. So, to be the teacher. What is next point? Sugata. Sugata meaning the one who has gone to the perfect bliss. The one who has gone to the perfect bliss. Perfect bliss, freed of all tensions, freed of all miseries. Okay, now the next point is he realized that okay, this is the medicine, the wisdom of emptiness, wisdom to know the reality. This is the medicine that I should be teaching to the beings, to all the beings. But first, I have to experiment this to see if it works. He has to experiment this. So what he did is that he experimented this. How many of you know this fact? That the person who invented antibiotics to cure the gastro problems, after inventing this antibiotics, what he did was that he first gulped the bacteria to create the stomach upset, the ulcer. He had the ulcer, severe ulcer. Then he took the medicine to prove that this medicine works. How do you know that? How many of you know that? How many of you know that? This is the reality. This was what was done by the one who invented the medicines to cure the ulcer problem. Okay, likewise, this Prince Siddhartha, after realizing that the wisdom of emptiness is to be taught, to eliminate the ignorance, which is the root of all the sufferings of all sentient beings, first he had to experiment it on himself to see if it works. So he experimented this on himself. He meditated on this for 6 years. And finally, what happens? That the ignorance is uprooted. Ignorance is uprooted. And then all the offshoots of the ignorance in the form of inappropriate attention, gross afflictions, contaminant karmas, and the miseries, they all stop. And all the miseries stop. The opposite of misery, which is the sugata, the bliss of nirvana, the bliss of enlightenment, was what he experienced. He experienced the sugatahood. With this experience, then what happens? What is next? Protector. So with this experience, he became so confident. Okay, now I found the path which I can teach to all the beings so that their miseries will be uprooted. So he went to give the teachings to protect the beings. So now tell me, if you come across two people, if you come across two people who claim themselves to be teachers to guide you to say you are going through a forest, very dangerous forest, and then there are two guides. One, you who knows so well that this guide has the full experience, how to go through when you encounter with this difficulty, this danger, how to get out of this danger. You know that he or she knows the path so well. And the other guide, also popular, but you don't know that how what is his or her experience. You don't know. So of the two guides, which guide will you take? The first or the second? First, but naturally. So these two lines says that this, after experiencing Sugatahood, or the perfect bliss of nirvana and enlightenment, then he went to teach, he went to protect the beings by giving teachings on the wisdom to dispel the ignorance from the minds of sentient beings. So this makes him such a reliable guide. Okay. So following the Buddha's teachings must be in the spirit of understanding these two lines. If you do that, there's no danger of you going into the wrong hands and wrong path. Otherwise, people can easily be misled and easily be misguided. And you can end up in, finally, nowhere. So therefore, these two lines are so precious for us. Okay. So this is how we come to learn that somebody like us, ordinary person, can eventually become a reliable guide. Driven by the motivation of altruism, then the teacher to teach the wisdom of emptiness, then having experienced the total Sugatahood of the bliss of nirvana, of Buddhahood, and then going to protect the beings by giving the wisdom, teaching the wisdom. Okay, this was the causal the sequence. Then the number two is, number two approach is where you are so keen to look for a teacher. In fact, what happened was that at the time of the Buddha, there was a young boy and a young girl. Both of them, against their will, two of them were forced to get married against their will. And both of them somehow had very strong karmic connection with the spirituality. Then at one point, both parents, they passed away. And then the two of them decided to seek their own spiritual path. Then in those days, the Buddha Shakyamuni was there on this earth. Meanwhile, there were many other teachers as well. And after maybe few months or few years, two of them met again. And then two of them were sharing, okay, I met a teacher like this. And the girl was saying, I met a teacher like this. They were sharing. But the boy was very happy and the girl was very, very, very upset and going through a very low phase in her life. And the boy felt so sympathetic towards the girl. And the girl was sharing a very nasty story about, the community where she was connected. That it was just a nightmare to be in that community, and I don't want to be in spirituality anymore. This is what the girl said. And the boy said, boy is very happy, and a sense of great joy and growth. And the boy said, don't worry, come to my teacher. And she said, no, enough. I don't want to go to any teacher. I don't want to go to any spirituality. That's the end of it. Enough. The boy said, why? My teacher is so good. And the boy's teacher was Buddha. And the girl said, no, I'll not go. You go, I'll not go. And the boy said, okay, do one thing. I'll take you there. You don't have to do anything. Just stay there, see my teacher, and you leave. And the girl said, okay, that I can do. And the girl went with the boy. And the girl saw the Buddha there. Just seeing the Buddha there, the glow of the Buddha's compassion. The girl felt just at home. This is my teacher. Okay, so the point is that the people who really seek a teacher, and nowadays, some people they're wise. I'm very happy. Whereas many people they follow so blindly. They are so rashly looking for gurus. You hear that, oh, this person Avarut Guru, other person Avarut Guru. I also should have Avarut Guru. This is such a blind faith follower. Right? Never ever follow this trend. Your life is so precious. Don't destroy your life. Not only this life, you have so many lifetimes in the future. Don't destroy your life and lives. It's so important. Don't go rashly to look for a good teacher, good guru. No hurry. If you are so desperate, take His Holiness the Dalai Lama as root guru, and then those from FMT take Lama Subramanian as root guru. These two have a tremendous, of course His Holiness the worldwide knows him, and Lama Subramanian, I had the honor of meeting him in more closely 2 or 3 times, and I was so fascinated by the tremendous warmth, the practice, and always encouraging his students to practice the wisdom of emptiness and the Bodhicitta. So these two. And otherwise, they say if you have only taken somebody as one's guru, that's fine. Otherwise, no hurry, and don't follow blindly. What you do is try to just approach how the Buddha approached, motivated by great compassion. Try to cultivate compassion in a very systematic way. And then the teacher. Try to learn what is to be taught. Try to learn the wisdom of emptiness to be taught. Wisdom of emptiness. And then the Sugata. Try to implement this in your own life to see if it has relevance, to your life. Sugata. Once you have it, then see how to help others. And likewise, see somebody else following the same trend. If somebody else is also following the same trend, where the person exudes compassion, where the person exudes wisdom, and always the priority is dharma and the sentient beings rather than one's own personal interest. If this is what you see, if you see these 2 lines applicable to anybody after your prolonged, extended period of studies, reflection, meditation, then you can take, at that point, then nobody can stop you. You can very reliably, you can very stably take somebody as your teacher. Otherwise, simply by, for example, like meeting, say here, meeting me for the first time, oh, now I've found a root guru, this is a total wrong approach. Say, there's no harm in taking teaching from somebody. Take that as in the form of university lectures, for you to learn something. You learn something, it doesn't mean that a person is your spiritual guru or spiritual teacher. No rush. Even the whole world you see around as looking for gurus, but you can be very stable, calm, learn more. Learn more. Once you learn it, once you experience a little bit, then you will know who's the right teacher, who's not the correct teacher. Okay, this should be approach. Then the next point is, for example, say at the time of Buddha Shakyamuni, the first heir to the Buddha Shakyamuni. Do you know who the first heir of Buddha Shakyamuni was? No. Okay. Last opportunity. Anyone? Mahakashyap. Okay. Mahakashyap was the first heir of the Buddha Shakyamuni. At the time of Buddha Shakyamuni, the Venerable Ananda was very, very powerful. And everybody was expecting Venerable Ananda to be the first heir. But the Buddha appointed Mahakashyap as the first heir, not Venerable Ananda. Venerable Ananda became the second heir after Mahakashyap. So Mahakashyap, how he came into the Buddha's teachings was that he himself was a great teacher. He was a contemporary. He was a teacher, contemporary with Buddha Shakyamuni. He himself had lots of students. And he was of course, an extremely genuine teacher, and he came to realize that some of students who were going to see, say, teachings from the Gautama, meaning the Buddha, and he would say, okay, yes, that's good, go. And then not only that, the top brilliant students were also going there. Then he said something. This Gautama must be very special. Because these students, the brilliant ones, okay, others is fine. They can go anywhere. But the brilliant students will not go to somebody very easily. So brilliant students, they are all attracted by him. He must have some very good qualities. What is that? Okay. Why he is so special? Okay, now there are two. One, we start from the cause. Prince Siddhartha, young Prince Siddhartha, just ordinary prince, how he became a Buddha. One, this is, you look at the story from the Buddha's childhood. From there you go towards the Buddha. This is what is known as the forward order. First motivated by altruism, then the teacher, Sugata, and protector. This is the forward order. Whereas Mahakashyap, he started from the reverse order. He was so fascinated by this teacher, not as a Prince Siddhartha. He was not fascinated by the Prince Siddhartha. He was fascinated by the result, not the cause. The result. What's the result? Buddha Shakyamuni. Right? Buddha Shakyamuni. He is so popular. Not only very popular, all the brilliant students, they were all drawn by him. What's so unique about him? He wanted to know. So he went there. He saw that he is a great... So okay. So let's see. The reverse order. First, what's the first point of the reverse order? Protector. So he went there and he could see that all the teachings that this Buddha Shakyamuni was giving really benefit the being so greatly. Really protect the being so greatly. He saw the protector in Buddha Shakyamuni. Then his question was, how did he become such a great teacher? How did he become such a great teacher to protect the beings so effectively? Okay, because this is something which I've never seen before anywhere in the world. This is something coming from original. We talk about the originality of the thoughts. This is original thought. Original thought means it's something coming from inside, experience. What is that experience? Sugata. Right? He has this experience of the total liberation from all the sufferings. He had this experience. That experience, when coming out, benefits people immensely. When people are protected. How come that he has such a profound experience, original experience of the Sugatahood? How come? Because of the experience of wisdom of emptiness to be taught. That made him a teacher. Wisdom of emptiness inside. Okay, this wisdom of emptiness, again Mahakashyap, he realized that this is something which he never saw anybody teaching. He never saw that this wisdom is being taught by anybody in this world. Because of that, he becomes so curious, how come that this young Prince Siddhartha was able to find this wisdom? Okay, tell me. Okay, tell me. Right, tell me. Okay, let's say that there are two mothers. One mother with one child, one mother with 10 children. Then the whole area is suffering from, stricken with drought and famine. And they say the food is available beyond 50 kilometers. Now, which of the two mothers do you think is more likely to cross that 50 kilometers to get the food? Which of the two mothers? The first mother with one child or the second mother with 10 children? With one child or with 10 children?
10 child.
Yes, 10 children. One child means responsibility is so less. 10 children means responsibility is so huge. I have so much responsibility. Right? I can drive for one person, I can drive for 10 persons. Which is more sensible? 10 is more sensible. Drive for 10 is more sensible than drive for one person. So when you feel this kind of responsibility, then you get the energy to run further away. Energy to look for the solutions. So what made him to find this very refined solution, the wisdom of emptiness? What made him to find this? Not because of, oh, I'm upset with the palace life. No. Because of seeing the problem of all the sentient beings. Problems of all the sentient beings. This is something I cannot bear. I must take the responsibility to look for ways and means. Somehow I have to look for ways and means to find the solution to this problem, to get over the problems of all the beings. So this made him to look for the path, and finally he found this wisdom. This wisdom is so subtle. Now for us it is made easy. Made easy meaning that we already have it on a table, the wisdom of emptiness. Right? The moment you come to Kalachakra Center, there is wisdom of emptiness there on the books, all the books are available. You go to Nalanda, all the books are available there. You go to the teaching of His Holiness, the Dalai books will be freely distributed. All these, they are all on the table. But for this young Prince Siddhartha, he did not have any clue about this wisdom of emptiness. No teacher is available. No books available. So, the only instrument that he had in his mind is a sense of urgency to work for all the sentient beings. This altruism was there. So this drove him to look for the solution, and which he failed to get it from the two teachers. The teacher Alar Kalam and teacher Udreka. And finally, because of this eagerness to look for this wisdom, and this wisdom is very nuanced and very subtle. Wisdom, of course, this is what we're going to study the next 10 days, this wisdom of emptiness, and you will see that it's really, really, very, really nuanced. And sometimes when it becomes so nuanced and complicated, I have to tell some stories to make you uplifted. Otherwise, you feel so timid, oh, it's so complicated, right? I have to tell you stories to make you uplifted, a little exciting. Whereas for Buddha, forget about telling stories. there's no one even to talk about what the wisdom of emptiness is. Nobody's talking about the wisdom of emptiness. Everybody's talking the opposite of wisdom of emptiness. So therefore, this is, because it is so nuanced, people, in the first place, people do not even get there. Once you get there, people feel it's so overwhelming that this can't be the reality. They just quit. Whereas, because the Buddha was driven by this principle, was driven by feeling a huge responsibility, a sense of responsibility for all sentient beings, he dared to go anywhere to find the solution. So finally, this led him to get this wisdom of emptiness. So this wisdom of emptiness, how he got this from nowhere, was because of the first premise. What is the first premise? Altruism to benefit all sentient beings. Okay, so this reverse order was applicable to those people who are so fascinated by a particular teacher, Buddha Shakyamuni, someone who is able to benefit all sentient beings so effectively, which no other teacher could do, and then tracking back what made him to become a protector because of his own internal original experience of the Sugata. What made him to have this experience of the Sugata? Because of having found the wisdom of emptiness. What made him to find this very nuanced wisdom of emptiness? Because of the altruism, right? So this is how we go, the reverse order. Okay. To know this thoroughly, Pramanavartika chapter 2 was written by Acharya Dharmakirti. So this, it will be so good in this life. Somehow you must study this chapter 2, Pramanavartika chapter 2. And for information, and this year, organized by the Singaporean group, Tibetan Buddhist Center, Singapore, they organized this retreat on Pramanavartika chapter 2, the first half. In Malaysia, we already did that. We did that just recently, before I came to France, Italy, before that to Vietnam, before that Singapore. Before Singapore, we did that in Malaysia, the first half. So the second half of the Pramanavartika chapter 2, we will do that next year. Next year, around the same time, June, July. Okay, the people interested, you can join. You can join the Tibetan Buddhist Center. Those interested, you can contact Venerable Thupten Kuntenla. Then he will give the details of where to contact. And okay, this is one thing. But what I'm saying is that whether you can or cannot go there, this is not the point. The point is that in this life, you must study Pramanavartika chapter 2. This is very important. And those of us who are doing the Nalanda Master's course, very soon we will begin with the Pramanavartika chapter 2 for the Master's course in Tibet House. And those who are from Nalanda Diploma course, 1 year Nalanda Diploma course, those who qualified for all the quests done, they're entitled to join the Pramanavartika chapter 2 along with the Nalanda Master's course. That is the exception. Okay, but for the rest, still we have to study this. This is very precious text, and from this you will know what the real Buddha, what the real teaching of the Buddha is. Rationally, usually when you speak about Four Noble Truths, then somebody, the teacher, enumerates what the Four Noble Truths are, classifications, definitions. But Pramanavartika chapter 2, how that explains the Four Noble Truths is very different. Will convince us rationally convince us how they are coming into being. Not just like a monologue teaching by a teacher, these are Four Noble Truths, this is this. No. Pramanavartika chapter 2 it just gives you a total confidence within you to make you see the Four Noble Truths is actually what we can see in our own being, in our own mind. We can see that. This is what Pramanavartika chapter 2 is very special about. Second half, the forward order we already covered this time. The reverse order, the topic is going to be, even though someone did not attend the first part, still can attend the second part. Because the topics, they are very different. The two topics are slightly different. You can still take part in that. Okay, so with this, now what we learned thus far is we got a broad picture. Okay, this if I happen to see somebody like this, for example, Buddha Shakyamuni, oh, this is the real teacher. This is a real teacher who I can seek as my reliable guide. Okay, so with this makes His Holiness the Dalai Lama feel so connected with the Buddha Shakyamuni. So there, when His Holiness, wherever he travels, if he sees a Buddha, the image of the Buddha, he's so happy. He's so happy. And at one point, 2013, I think, 2013, early one morning, the secretary of when His Holiness was in Delhi, early one morning, His Holiness secretary gave me a telephone call, very early morning. Then he said that His Holiness wants you here in his place right now. So I had to take a taxi ride to rush to the hotel. And so there His Holiness gives a lot of, the advice on how to run Tibet House and so forth. He gives lots of advice. And then then he just goes into these two lines. These two lines. The one who has transformed into a reliable guide, motivated by altruism to better all sentient beings. The teacher, Sugata, protector to every persuasions. He said these two lines, and he said these two lines with such a great, incredible passion in this, with lust and admiration to the Buddha's teachings. So this is what he feels so close to his heart. So therefore, if you can really understand the Buddha Dharma in line with these two lines, then there's no danger that you will be misled by any teachers or any path or whatever. There's no danger if you understand the Buddha Dharma in these two lines. Okay, this is so important. Otherwise, we can easily be misled, misguided by people. This is the problem. Okay. Now with this, from this what we learned is that this Prince Siddhartha, eventually he became such a reliable guide. And then reliable guide is because of him having this capacity to protect the beings by giving the proper teaching through his own experience, which is grounded on the wisdom of emptiness to be taught. And that was triggered by the compassion, altruism. Okay, once we see that, now the question would be, okay, so if this is what you learned, what would be your next question to me? What would be the next question to me? Okay, there can be millions of questions. You can just speak your mind. Don't think that he must be expecting some politically correct question. Okay, if this is to be applied to you, meaning, okay, now I found a great teacher. Buddha Shakyamuni is the teacher. Okay, now this teacher should have relevance to me, to us, to you, to me. To make relevance, what should be the trigger point from my side? From the teacher's side is ready. All the 4 points are ready here. He became the reliable guide, Buddha Shakyamuni. Now for us to make sense of to make the relevance of his being a part of our life, what is required from our side? Anybody? Yes?
How to realize emptiness directly?
Okay, how to realize emptiness? 1. Number 2, anybody?
Enthusiasm.
Huh?
Enthusiasm.
Okay, we should have the enthusiasm. Very good. Anybody?
To have confidence in his qualities.
Who's that?
To have confidence in his qualities of the teacher.
Then you got it.
Faith.
Then you got it already. You study these and you see that now I have found the reliable guide. You already gain the confidence. Yes?
How you can make us become altruistic for
Okay, how he can trigger the sense of altruism within us. Very good. Anybody else? There can be millions of questions, not necessarily there is only one answer, correct answer or correct question. Yes?
Que dois-je apprendre? What do I have to learn?
Oh, what do I have to learn? This is an interesting question. Very good. Okay, when I ask this question, when others give the answer, what is very important is don't just dismiss others' answers, even though it may not, your view may not agree with that particular answer or question. If you disagree, you can disagree. There's no problem. There's no problem. If you disagree, at least look for the reason why you disagree. Don't just outrightly reject, saying that okay, it doesn't make sense. Right? What's the reason? In the process, you are looking for the reason. Your sharpness of intelligence is being activated. That is required. Okay, any more questions? How would you be connected? How would you link to that? How would you make what would make you feel very confident that now this is my teacher, I'm going to follow this? Anyone?
Trust.
Raise hands. Yes. Trust. Okay, trust. Very good. You have already gained the tremendous trust to that teacher. Buddha Shakyamuni, yes. Anybody?
La notoriété.
Fame.
Okay, the fame. Okay. Say the Mahakashyap. He found the fame of the Buddha Shakyamuni. Then he did not just trust the fame. Just with the fame and then jump. This is advantage. With the fame and then check. The track back and see to the qualities. This is how the wise people follow. Unwise people will just do for the fame and will jump. It's very dangerous, extremely dangerous. I'm saying this again, extremely dangerous. Just to see the fame and jump, this is extremely dangerous. Fame, to see the fame, there's no problem. See the fame, then track back, go to track the records, the past records. Then from there you say, wow, this is a very, very genuine teacher. Okay, any more things? Any more? Yes, over there?
I look at the disciples of that teacher and see if the disciples have gained qualities that I want to.
Okay, if the disciples who follow the teacher, if they have benefited a lot, if they have gained some qualities, what the teacher taught, if that is not really happening, it becomes like what is that? Fan something, what? They are just counting on the fan. How many likes are there? How many likes? Right? Facebook likes. Just counting. Oh, I'm a fan of this, I'm a fan of this. I'm a fan, for example, say, I'm a fan of the Mother Teresa. You're not doing at all about Mother Teresa. I'm a fan of Messi. You don't know how to play football. Right? I'm a fan of Messi. You know Messi? Right? And you don't know how to play football. So this is just to count the number of the fans. This is not the point. The point is that those people who see themselves as a fan of this particular teacher, see if these people, these disciples, they benefited out of this teacher. These students, the fans, they become more happy. They're more learned. They're more compassionate. If this is what is happening, then the teaching is sensible. Then the teacher is proved to be good. Okay, Virginia?
Moi, je me demanderais quelles sont les caractéristiques d'un bon étudiant pour pouvoir bénéficier au maximum de l'enseignement.
I would ask myself which qualities are necessary for good students to follow this teacher.
Very good. Very good. Yes. Okay, Mike?
I was thinking self-awareness. Like what's in me? What am I thinking? How am I feeling? What's going on within me?
Okay. Good. Very good. Anybody else? Yes.
I think of empathy.
Empathy. Very good. Anyone else?
Admiration.
Admiration. Very good. Okay. Yes.
Je verrai si j'arrive à comprendre ce qu'il me dit.
I will check if I can understand what he says.
That's true. That's true. Anybody else? Okay. Okay. Handful of sand. So what? This guide. Guide to what? Guide for what? Anyone? Huh? path to liberation of who? Somebody else or each one of us? Each one of us to be liberated, which means that he or she is to give us the liberation. Give us liberation by guiding us to liberation, not just liberation like this, but guiding us towards liberation. Which means that liberation, if you squeeze a handful of sand, liberation comes out, oil come out. If you squeeze a handful of sunflower seeds, oil come out. Sunflower seeds. Squeeze a handful of sunflower seeds into the machine. Oil come out or not? Sunflower seeds. If you say no, you don't know what sunflower seeds is. Yes. Oil will come out of that. You squeeze a handful of sand. Oil come out, not come out? Okay. Likewise,
No.
right? The reliable guide to take me to Buddhahood. Is there a seed of Buddhahood inside? You have to check it. You have to check whether you have that seed to become Buddha. If you don't have the seed to become a Buddha, then he's not a reliable guide. You understand? There's no way, if you don't have the seed, no matter how much effort that you put, you cannot become a Buddha. No matter how much effort you put to squeeze a handful of sand, no oil will come out of that. So there must be a seed of liberation within you. If you don't have that, then that person is not the reliable guide for you. Maybe a reliable guide for somebody else, but not for you. Right? For that, to see that he or she is a reliable guide for me. For example, let's say, I personally admire Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci. I personally admire them. But if you tell me that, okay, you are a great admirer of these two, celebrities, so I will take you to the training center that will give you training for 10 years. I will say it's total waste of my time. I will not go there. I admire, but I don't want to become one like that. I admire meaning that I admire lots of things. Not only the Buddha's teachings, I admire many other things. But the Buddha's teaching, this is something which I personally feel connected, that I want to follow this. Whereas the Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, the skills I really admire. But if somebody tells me that I'll train you like to become one like that, I'll say thank you. I'll not go there. Right? I admire. So what I'm saying is that one, you should have the admiration, you should the desire to follow this. Number two, before you follow this, see if you have the seed, if you have the potential, if you have the seed to really achieve the goal intended by this path. You have to check it. Say you have a handful of sand and squeeze it, however much you squeeze it, no oil will come out of that. It's a total waste of your energy, waste of your effort. Whereas handful of sunflower seeds, you squeeze it, oil will come out of that. That's something meaningful. Likewise for us, reliable guide meaning somebody who can guide you to the destination which you aspire to go. So for that matter, say that you should have the capacity to go there. You should have the seed to reach that place. You should have the seed of the profession. You should have the seed of Buddhahood within us. You should have the seed of liberation within us. If you don't have this, no matter how much you put effort by seeking the guide of the Bodhicittas, you will reach nowhere. So, for that matter, to see that he's a reliable guide, okay, he's a reliable guide, no doubt. But whether he's going to be a reliable guide for me or not, first requirement is that whether or not I have this potential to achieve that goal which he can guide us. What is that? What is that seed known as? That seed is known as the Buddha nature, seed of perfection, seed of awakening. That seed of perfection. Okay, now how many of you have that seed of perfection within you? Seed of liberation within you? Understand? Everybody has it. Okay, how do you know that you have how many of you know? How do you know that you have this seed of perfection? Yes.
Like right now, it's obscured by the negative emotions. Once you remove this, then naturally the Buddha nature will come out.
Okay, so at the moment, our mind is being obscured by the mental emotions, afflictions. Once you remove the afflictions, then the Buddha, the seed of perfection inside will become manifest. Okay. Anyone else? Yes, Pamela.
Because I always want to seek happiness.
Okay. I want to seek happiness, or I seek happiness.
I seek happiness.
I see. There's a slight difference, right? I want to seek happiness, or I seek happiness. Okay, so I seek happiness all the time. I seek happiness all the time. Also, I want to become the President of America. I seek to become the President of America. Can I become the President of America in this life? I want to become the President of America in this life. Is it possible? No. Although I have the aspiration, it doesn't mean that I have the potential. I cannot. In this life, I cannot become the President of America. I want to become the President of America in this life because it's so much a problem nowadays. Right? It's very complicated. So I want to become the President so that the problem will come to an end. President of America in this life. Okay, simply to have the aspiration doesn't mean that this is something achievable. Yes, over there.
So I think we have like glimpses of the ultimate in our lives. So we have glimpses when the obscurations maybe are much more weakened, and then and we see this potential in us to be altruistic, wherever we see how much happiness it gives us.
Okay, we have some glimpses of the good qualities. Okay, so what is important for us is, this is so important. Why I'm deliberately giving opportunity for us to speak is that in the process, one, your mind becomes active. As your mind becomes active and receptive, you are learning a lot within a very short span of time. One. Number two, very important point is that we have to look for the nuances where things can easily, there's some the flaw in the reasoning, maybe not 100% flaw, even 10% flaw, 5% flaw. You can identify this flaw and see how to get over this flaw. You're getting it? Okay, let's say we have the glimpses. For example, say at the moment, I can run. If somebody asks me to run, I can run maybe 100 meters in 20 seconds. I can run 100 meters in 20 seconds. If I practice, then can I run faster? Hey, if I practice, can I run faster? Yes, of course. Then after 10 days, I can run in say like 17 seconds. I could run 100 meters. Or I have the glimpse that I can run faster. So if I practice for another 1 year, I can run 9.2. More faster than Thunderbolt. What is his name? Who's the world recorder? World record holder? Huh? Asian Bowls, yes. Right? If I practice for the 1 year, then I can run the 9.2. In 9.2 seconds, I can run 100 meters, which means I break the record of Asian Bowls. Right? So I have a glimpse that if I practice for 10 days, I can run faster. So I have a glimpse that I can run faster. Okay, so again we see that with me, I'm already 50. Asian Bowl is just I need 20 something. Right? No way in this life I cannot run faster than him. Guaranteed. Even if I practice for whole life, whole 1 year, whole 10 years, impossible. Okay, I have a glimpse that I can improve. It doesn't mean that I can improve at infinity. Okay, now, okay, here.
parce qu'on a dit qu'on suivait un guide pourquoi et vers quoi. Et ce guide-là que je vais suivre a confirmé par son expérience que tout le monde avait la graine de devenir comme lui que j'admire. Donc, si j'ai donc confiance que j'ai cette graine et que je peux la développer et devenir comme lui que j'admire.
So we said earlier that we know what is being taught by the guide and to which destination we are guided. So we can feel that from his experience there is something that showed us that we have the same seed so we have some confidence about that.
Okay. So the from how the Prince Siddhartha he followed, we got a confidence that we also have, just as he was able to succeed, we can also succeed. Just as Asian Bull was succeed as world record holder, we can also succeed as a world record holder. Yes? No? Can I succeed to become the world record holder? Because the Asian Bull succeeded.
Non, 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 je parle de Siddhartha.
Okay, so the point is, look, why I'm inviting all these answers is to refine our thinking. You getting it? So all what you've said have some sense. This what we said, they have sense, but we need to polish them. We need to refine them further. So all these the complications when we bring, how to solve them. If you're able to solve these complications, which is very similar to the reasonings that you gave, then you understand it becomes very refined. This will give you a tremendous confidence. Okay, the last one before we retire for tea break and group discussion.
I think about the Buddha when he showed the moon, and he said to me, get para, get it. You get it. So I know, no, I'm so crazy. I am so crazy, I'm so lazy. No, it's not for me.
No, so how do we know that we have this potential? This is my question. Okay, Patrick.
Parce que quand je lis ou quand j'entends des enseignements à propos de la nature de Bouddha, cela crée une telle joie et cela fait comme si ça ouvrait un peu les voiles dont parlait mon voisin et fait vraiment toucher cette expérience qu'il y a, cette nature de Bouddha.
So when we read or when we study the teachings like this, it gives some inner joy, and in this case we have some glimpse about that. We know that we can put aside the veils, the obscurations. We have some feeling about that.
Very good, very good, very good. Yes.
Because between somebody who's liberated his mind and my mind, there is one thing in common, which is the emptiness of independent existence of that mind.
So
if there is something in common, then we can somehow meet. That is the potential.
So for example, our mind and this flower also is something in common. This is a functional thing, my mind is also a functional thing. Okay. So this is something which we need to explore. And the best thing about the Buddha's teachings is that there's a total freedom for us. And not only freedom, unless we think rationally, unless we learn how to think rationally, we will never come to have a very solid ground of the Buddha's teaching. And yet the Buddha's teaching has a very solid ground of rationality. And anybody who understands this, sensible people who see the rationality behind the Buddha's teachings, there's no way by which not to be attracted by the Buddha's teachings. Okay. Now for the group discussions, particularly those of us who were already into the teachings for many years. So those of you, I request you to please make it a point that the newcomers, first you try to discuss what was covered in the class. Don't try to jump into very complicated questions. which you had from the earlier teachings. Just try to cover, but those who already attended this teaching the last year, as well as those who attended many more teachings from Kalachakra Center, then the Nalanda Center and the Yogini Center and so forth. Make sure that you at least let what the teaching, the topics covered in the teaching, they are covered. So newcomers, they are a part of us. So let them feel that they are part of us. And then once that is covered well, then you can go into your questions, little deeper questions, so the newcomers, they will enjoy it. Otherwise, you just directly go to your own complicated questions, because you're already exposed to these before, the newcomers will get lost. If they get lost, then we are actually harming them, not encouraging them to follow the path of happiness. We are dissuading them from following the path of the wisdom, path of compassion. So this is what we have to keep in mind. Okay, and then after about like 5 days or 6 days time, then you can go into communications. If the newcomers, they will catch up. They will catch up with us greatly. They can. Okay. Frustrations.